Today we have with us Mr. AR Nanda. He was former Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India.
The person who became the Census Commissioner in 1881 had field experience of 1871-72. Similarly, 81 one of them was selected as 1891. Similarly, 2001. Like this, it has gone on.
But this is a new trend when
this is a new trend.
Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India is not coming with an experience, is not someone who's an experience of conducting census. There are still a lot of skepticism whether the census will be conducted, whether the exercise will start in this year also.
Naturally, it is very shocking why it's getting delayed, because this is a very valuable exercise. We have missed a lot of things during last few years. We are all looking into 2011 and then preparing everything as a frame and or some estimates. I think there is over interference, too much of interference from the ministries, Home Ministry, which was not there in our time.
Why did you believe that these two things, the updation of NPR, cannot be done with the first phase of the census?
People who living, whether they're citizens or non-citizens, they're entitled to many things under the scheme, government schemes, and also for their own. So we have been opposed to this. If they want to destroy the census, the quality of census, the coverage of census, destroy that, then they can go ahead and do it.
Hello and welcome to Newslaundry interviews. Today we have with us a very special guest, Mr. AR Nanda. He was former Registrar General and Census Commissioner of India and also a former Health Secretary. And Mr. Nanda was in charge of conducting the 5th census of independent India, census of 1991, which I think was very unique in multiple ways, especially because through that census, a huge dent was made in feminist economics.
I think it was basically a pressure and persuasion from the feminist lobby.
Okay.
The women's leaders from various organizations, backed up by the United Nations, the UNIFEM and UNFPA.
Okay.
And when I joined a little late, my predecessor, till his time, they were not willing to introduce this question. But
today, the important topic for our discussion is the delay of census 2021.
It's a very valid reason because of the pandemic. But once the pandemic fear was over and it was, because that has to be twice or thrice, they had to take stock of the situation. But then came the other reason, which is this election. Well, partly yes, because the same machinery will have to do both. But we have in the past, and I am a witness to that, I have an experience of that, that both election and census, they have been only deferred a month or two like this, but the preparations were going on. I was in a district as the district census officer, also as district election officer, both holding charge in Odisha in 1971. And
you had mentioned about the digital census, sir, and this is something which the government has been talking since 2019 that it is going to be a revolutionary step. And do you think that it is that revolutionary, or it is going to be the first digital census and it will change the game for the census in the country?
Well, that way this will be the first in India. But they have already tried in some of the surveys. And we found I am part of the Apex advisory group for census taking. They take the previous, past general commissioners. So I had some inkling to that. They were getting ready. In fact, they had already started the training, and the technology many technology, 3-4 technologies, they was getting ready.
What could be the red flags in implementing the digital census?
I think there is over interference, too much of interference from the ministries, Home Ministry, which was not there in our time. They were giving us independence in many ways to go ahead. We will only reporting to them, and they will advise a few things, but we would say that this advice will not work, and they will take that as such. Now, unfortunately,
what would be the biggest challenge to implement this kind of a technology?
Well, they have to really come out and they have to see the privacy of the data for individuals, because Census Act, under the Census Act, the data is confidential as far as the individual is concerned.
Okay.
So I don't think that would be, that has to be seen. That has to be seen, because many data which come, individual data through other sources, there are also questionable, because
there has also been talk about the updation of the National Population Register along with the census, which was supposed to be held in 2021. And your technical advisory committee had raised some concerns over that. Why did you believe that these two things, the updation of NPR, cannot be done with the first phase of the census?
Well, this has been coming up even in 1951 census, when the ministry wanted to do it, a register of citizens, and it was tried in some way, but such garbled versions came that they had to give up. They didn't release their data also. Census is a very, very massive exercise, universal exercise. It has got other purposes. Citizens, I mean the population, the people who are living, whether they are citizens or non-citizens, they're entitled to many things under the scheme, government schemes, and also for their own. So we have been opposed to this. Personally, I have been opposing. I don't know, I told the 2011 commissioner not to venture into that, but he was, I think, pressurized to do that in 2010. And the
to
data,
update the national population
yeah,
register.
and then
to formulate, that was
formulate. And 2015 or so again it was
updated.
But why it was not released? Why? So that is a big why. I don't know what's the reason. That means
they had also added some new questions this time to update the NPR.
These are going to destroy the reputation of census organization.
These kind of questions.
Yeah, and even in case of individual caste, subcaste enumeration, they have to do a thorough exercise. If at all they have to do, they should do it for the next census in 2041. They have to take a 10 years survey, find out what are the names of the subcastes and castes. Issues like caste, issues like language, issues like a few other things. All, you see, there are economic questions, there are social questions, there are many other questions apart from counting them. Otherwise, there are all sorts of fuzzy figures will come.
Free में इतना ही मिलेगा. To watch the full unedited interview, you have to subscribe to Newslaundry and pay to keep news free. Because we don't run advertising. All our money comes from subscribers like you. And that is how public service journalism is paid for. All the studio lights, the cameras, all that you see on our website, it all comes from subscribers. So do subscribe, click on the subscription link, watch all the interviews unedited, and pay for public interest journalism.